Refuge Christian Church, and then on the back with our website name.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Third Day Podcast. Super excited for episode number 2. I am here today with Pastor Chad and Pastor Gordon. They're with me today. Hey, Chad, we had to do a little bit of arranging. Do me a favor, man. Scoot up a little bit. Can you scoot up?
Yes, sir.
See, you're not in the camera. Look at the monitor. Can I get you in there?
Right here?
Yeah, let me see if I can. Go ahead. You guys say hi, and I'll work
Hey, everybody.
on the technical stuff here real quick.
It's Wednesday. It's hump day. It's the third day.
It's the third day, and we're glad to be here. We're hoping that we have a great time with you guys today, and we're going to let Pastor Chad get started.
What? He bust you. He just threw you right away, man. That's awesome.
I'm getting started, huh?
Yeah.
Get this party started right. Get this party started quickly.
Hey, you're okay. We're good now. I got it fixed.
Okay.
Hope everybody's had a great week. We're in week number 2 of this podcast, and we're in week number 2 of our Easter series, The Great Rescue. And I'm super excited again about Easter. I'm excited about this Sunday. It's Palm Sunday. We went a lot. If you're not careful, you'll forget about Palm Sunday. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Because you're so geared up for Easter that Palm Sunday comes. It's the week before, and you know it's special, and you almost always preach on it, but you forget to make it a big deal.
Right. Because you get so geared up for Easter.
Yeah, Easter is everything, right, for church is what it feels like.
Easter and Christmas.
For sure. That's why we got all them creasters.
Creasters, yes.
Hey.
Tell them what a creaster is.
A creaster comes to church on Christmas and Easter.
Yes.
And other than that,
And if you do, that's okay. We're not judging you, but try to make it a little bit more.
Yeah, no doubt.
More often.
We like to see you more than just Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of stuff going on, not only in the church, a lot of stuff going on in the community. I know it's a church podcast, but I'm going to bring it. Did you guys see the video of the
Chaser's Bar?
Chaser's Bar down there?
Yeah. It went viral, dude. Like, it's been played in
on
other
TMZ.
states. Yeah, TMZ. Yeah. That's huge.
They beat the brakes off that dude.
Oh, man.
He didn't do anything.
He
didn't do. He might have done something.
He provoked it, but he didn't
attention.
Deserve what he got.
He did not.
He didn't deserve the beat down. No, he didn't deserve that beat down.
No, that was pretty bad. But I will say this: a lot of people are. I don't know him, but I know the owner of that club a little bit from around. He's actually got several mutual friends with us. Chad
Billy Bowen did a good.
Yeah, it's
post.
not there. It's not.
You can't control your employees' behavior in a situation like that.
He was in Florida.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even around to do it. And I get that you got to be held. I mean, you are responsible for what happens at your business.
Correct.
But I think at the same time, I mean, the guys really responsible are those two young men. Those were two younger bouncers. They're doing that job.
Well, the one was in his, I think, 41, almost 41.
He was 41. He's an MMA fighter, is what it said.
Was that in Henderson?
No, it's on Franklin Street. Yeah. It's right down there. Across from the old Harley Davidson.
How was it tied into Pistons? Was that Pistons at one time?
It used to be Pistons.
That used to be Pistons.
So the current owners now bought that other club, Pistons, and they turned it into Chasers.
Chasers, gotcha.
And they got decent food and stuff, and it's an okay place. But I definitely don't agree with the way that they handled the bouncers handled the situation, man. That was. Did you see the pictures of him after the beating?
Oh yeah.
They
had to do reconstructive surgery on his face.
Well, they broke bones in his face.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to break. And hi, I'm Pastor Brian, and I kind of hope those two bouncers hear this. It's pretty easy to break bones in people's face when they're laying on the ground. There's two of you standing over the top of them. I'm sorry, but those guys definitely win the Evansville Tough Guy Awards.
I think there was a lot of adrenaline and testosterone. I don't know. Yeah, there's no excuse.
That guy never. The thing about it is,
he was on the ground and
he never threw a punch or he never did anything.
Yeah.
From the moment they grabbed him, he went cooperative.
Mm-hmm.
What I hear the story is somebody was putting drinks that weren't his on his tab.
Okay.
When he went to pay his bill, he told the bartender, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, tough luck or whatever.
Pay it.
And they just got arguing. And then what I heard was he told the bartender, who was a female, that he would break her jaw.
Oh.
And then and that's when the when the bouncers got her. But even still, hey, grab the guy and throw him out. Or punch him once, even if they would have hit him one time, that'd have been a lot different than, like, dude, they were dragging.
Well, if he didn't draw on him, if he didn't, if he didn't swing or act like he was going to, he never deserved.
Well, they were unmerciful to him.
Yeah, they were dragging him out. They would stop every once in a while so they could beat him more.
Yeah. I saw the videos. I mean, it went viral. I mean, it's sad. Well, what it did, they reacted tough. And now they're going to pay for it the rest of their lives.
Well, they both got felony charges for it. You know.
Yeah. One. What? No. What
do you think, Dad?
Bond.
I think they'll pay for it the rest of their life. I think they'll probably end up in prison for a short time.
I don't know that they'll get prison. They won't get prison. Not for an assault.
I don't know. They were saying on Neil Chapman's after him.
Yeah, he's after their money.
Yeah. Well, of course.
He's going after their civil.
Yeah,
the civil suit part of it. But I know what you mean. There's no telling what they'll get, but I think they'll get, if anything, as far as punishment goes, they'll get like house arrest or.
But it could have been easily avoided.
Oh, it's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
This is what people do all the time. Okay, so we can wrap this up because that is the problem with, I think, the world. For the most part, is just the way that people treat each other.
Yeah.
That was awful.
I remember being younger, going to Breakers and going to Fox and Hound. And Fox and Hound never really got rowdy per se, but Breakers would get rowdy. I mean, Breakers would get rowdy. Fights would break out.
I seen them all get rowdy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my buddy got ran over by a car in the parking lot. They were fighting out in the parking lot, and some other guys tried to run him over and hit him with he didn't press charges. I mean, but that was the 90s. That was in the early to mid 90s, a different time. I mean, the stuff they did back then, you don't have social media. People were videoing it. Back then, videoing it was not even fathomable. Taking your phone and videoing it. Today you can't go anywhere. Everything is recorded. Everyone's recording.
That's what got
Cameras are everywhere.
They would have nobody would ever known or done anything if it wasn't. But
the police officer reviewed the tapes and didn't see how severe it was. I mean,
Well, he did, but he didn't see the. He didn't see the
beat down that they. Yeah.
So, and I don't know. Maybe they did, and that's the other thing is all we have is story, so we don't really know.
No, we weren't there.
And now.
But
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he deserves it because he shouldn't have got that done to him. But now they're going hard. They're going hard.
Oh,
like that family.
That's going to be made an example.
Yeah, they're going hard.
Yeah, they're going to make an example.
You can't. You got to remember these days.
And these guys are wishing they could go back in time and change it.
You are never anywhere ever that you're not on camera. Pretty much.
No. As soon as you act up, somebody's whipping a camera phone out to record you.
It's constant.
100%. Whether you're at Walmart, Schnucks, or at church, somebody's going to record.
Yeah. Even here, they're on camera.
We got security cameras everywhere now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that, or just to protect yourself. But this would all be rectified and healed and taken care of if people would not even think about treating each other like that. And listen, I'm coming from a place where I know what it's like. I used to act dumb and fight and do that kind of stuff, but honestly, like now I'll talk, I'll still get mad and I may say some stuff, but like I can't imagine actually doing that now. I can't imagine hurting a person now. Like I had no interest in that. That would just feel awful. But
we're too old.
Oh, we're way too
even
old.
If we were young, there's no justification.
We're way too old.
I
can tell you now, if somebody put me in a position to where I had to do that, it's going to be bad news because the only way I would do that is protect my family's life or to protect my own life.
Oh yeah.
So there's no way I would do it.
I would have. Yeah,
not doing that for fun anymore.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think people are just mean today compared to what they were years ago.
Absolutely.
Well, there's zero tolerance.
Yeah. People are awful.
Yes.
And now
just a bad spirit, man.
It is. they weren't, and the way they attacked that kid, that guy,
that was ruthless.
Yeah, he was not.
No mercy.
He never threw. He literally was trying to cover up, and like the one big goon one, he looked like a goon. I'm sorry. I don't care. I hope you see this, dude.
We're praying for you, by the way.
He looked like a goon when the other guy had him. He was leaned back, and that guy stood back so he could try to throw uppercut at him and hit him. Yeah. And it was like, man, that kid didn't even see that
in
coming.
Those situations, being pastors, you and I both been put in situations dealing with people, counseling, and things that we'd rather not have to hear, situations we'd rather not have to hear. And being a pastor, we don't like it. And the thing is, what we have to do in these situations is pray for these people, pray for the families that have been hurt, victimized. And even the two guys that did it, that no justification in their actions, they need prayer. Yeah. I mean, they need prayer because I don't know if they've got families. I don't know if they have kids. Who knows? At the 41-year-old, he may have an established family. He might have a wife and kids at home, and now they've got to suffer because of the mistakes he made.
He was probably there he's probably there trying to make some extra bucks, and then he got himself into this trouble with that.
Yeah. Like I said, there's no justification, but they're paying the price.
They're paying the price.
They're going to. They both were arrested. They're both all over the internet. Like there's no getting away from what they did. Like everybody knows about it.
It's it's still a conversation on Facebook. When I put on Facebook, people were still talking about it.
Well, because it did go
it went big.
News,
yeah.
And now that's
when I saw it was on TMZ, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Everybody's always excited when you're town, especially if you're from like a smaller town, kind of like us. It's not small, but what it is. It is what it is. But people always get so excited when you're on the national news. But the funny thing is, the bad thing is if you make national news, it's for something bad.
Yeah, normally.
We're not making national news because
we did something
good, right? We're making national news because we got a bunch of
people doing bad things.
That was crazy. But I think about it, and then I think about the absence of, the only reason I even brought any of that up is because it's all the absence of God. It's all the absence of a relationship with God. Because I can tell you now, even if even if I'm upset, even if we get to a point where we're upset, you still have the Holy Spirit to guide you and to reel you in, and not to do those things. And there's people out there, man, and they don't know any better than to act like that. Apparently, I can't think of another. Okay, I can tell you.
You and I were around some crazy guys growing up.
I was, and I was one of them, but I didn't know any better because I was a kid, and even though I was taught. And so in my brain, I knew better, I was still acting out like a kid. Right. That's why the Bible says, hey, when I was a child, I acted like a child. When I grew up and become a man, I put away childish things and I become a man.
But you kind of grew up fast because you had a young family fast. I mean, you had, you weren't that old when you had your family, started having babies. So you grew up fast for your age. You know what I mean? Matured for your age. But then even being a dad, you were put in situations that we won't talk about where you had to put some hurt down on some people, somebody trying to rob you at a grocery store in the parking lot, asking you for, telling you to give them your money, and you're trying to get milk for your kids.
Yeah. But you've been
put in situations.
I know what you're saying. And I have been put in situations like that, but that was a situation there where
that was crazy.
Like I was protecting myself.
Yeah, you were self-defense. Yeah, you weren't just giving someone a beat down.
No, right.
You thought someone was going to try to stab you or harm you.
Absolutely, man.
That was scary, man.
Yeah, and it was scary, and that was one of those situations where I don't think that was I didn't assault that guy.
No,
I kept myself from getting
assaulted. You defended yourself, correct.
I did win. I won. Yeah. I'm not going to lose I'm going to try my best not to lose. If someone's going to force your hand,
I had to send a cop car.
You got to go at it.
I had to call my father-in-law, and he sent a car to check it out.
Well, you know how things go.
Well, you can't just stand there and let somebody beat you down.
That's why the Bible says don't lay hands on men suddenly. You're supposed to do it slow. Yeah. I was just praying for a guy.
Oh, that could go in so many different. That could go so many different directions.
Oh goodness. Well, man, what have you guys been up to this week, Dad? What have you been up to, Pastor Gordon?
Same old.
Okay.
Same old.
Listen, nobody heard you.
Nobody.
I've been doing a little bit of everything. Been doing taxi cab service quite a bit. for my sister-in-law and her husband. They've been having some health problems, so I've been helping them out. Run over here to where the church is, watch the flood, watch the
Did
water.
you know that telephone's open all the way now?
Epworth
No.
is open now.
Yeah, telephone's open all the way up. I just went down there a little bit ago and looked at that truck because I wanted to see what it was like. Because
Well, I
Laura
went
called
down-
me
He went in the ditch.
this morning. That was the road was still covered in water.
I know. I went down there,
But
and
it's
I had-
it's receded.
It's receded all the way back, and the roads are open.
Wow.
And there's not even none of that. There's not even crap on the road. It's like pretty nice and clean. But there's that brand new F-150. I don't know how old it is, but it's just.
It looked nice.
So what happened? It looks like was it floated him enough to where he probably would have been okay if that ditch hadn't been there, because that's where
That's a big
trucks at.
ditch.
It's
Yeah.
trucks in the ditch.
Yeah,
So
it sucked him.
You know, they say it only takes
It sucked
12
him
inches of water to float your vehicle.
Yeah.
To make to be wiped away or whatever. So listen, church family, if you ever wondered, if you ever were curious, when it floods and there's water over telephone, in all of the years we've been here since 1996, if that's the case, you can still always, 100% of the time, access the church from Bell Road.
Yeah.
So you never have to reach out. Here's another thing, church family. We had several people reaching out this week asking, is church canceled? You never have to ask. We will make sure that we announce it. If you haven't heard if you haven't heard us on social media or text in church or something, then church is not canceled. I'll be real honest. It's going to have to be really, really bad for us to cancel anymore.
We did cancel twice this year, but
We canceled 3 times this year.
was it 3?
Yeah, because
But we had the ice storms and
yeah,
it was crazy.
we had the two ice. We had the one made us miss 2 weeks.
yes.
That was the ice storm.
And then we had another one.
Yeah.
The first time we had wasn't there 2 snows that made us
Yeah.
miss?
Yeah.
And so that's what with the
The parking lot was bad.
that's what it was. For some reason we I looked all that up. There I think we could have been treating this parking lot last year even. So I did some research on that.
They make a special salt you can buy.
Well, it's not even special. It's just what's made for blacktop. You just buy blacktop ice melt that's made for blacktop, and it won't hurt it. That's what it's for. So
Well, now that we know that, we'll
we just need to get it and
Move forward.
Yeah. The hard part now is we need a spreader.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can use like a grass seed spreader or something.
I bet
Wow, I bet this is really exciting for our audience to listen to. Us talking about melting the ice, but hey, you want
Solving the world's problems.
You want to know what goes on at your church? These are the things that we have to talk about. We have to
when
think
we get
about.
together,
have
we
to-
just
that's right.
Yeah,
That kind of snowballs
because we
for
are
lack of a
live.
better term. Yeah, we're not live, but we
we will be live.
We're recording.
I mean, we're recording
Yeah, we're recording
in front of a live studio audience. It's not really serious.
Our live studio audience is each other.
Yeah.
While we're talking about the snow and stuff like that, who cut the grass today?
John
John came out last night.
Okay.
It was getting dark, and he came out and cut the grass.
I noticed it was cut a while ago.
I didn't know.
Yep, John came out and cut the grass last night in the dark.
Why'd he cut it in the dark? Hey, John, listen. You ain't got to cut the grass in the dark.
Hey, he put a big light on the front of his riding lawnmower, zero turn, and he loves it.
Likes riding at night. I
Oh,
guess it's
dude,
cooler.
I've got a picture of him driving it in the dark.
He's got that big Skaggs mower,
Yeah.
and I think it come with CD light. What do you call them?
No, he put a custom light on there, man.
Oh, did
That thing's like insane. It lights up everything.
He's got a big old like a
dude.
floodlight or spotlight.
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. I've got a picture of it. I'll have to send it to you.
That's funny, man. That's
He-
okay. That makes sense then. To be honest, I guess it probably is a way. I mean, if you have the light and you can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that making more sense in the summertime.
It's cooler. Yeah.
Probably wasn't a real good thing to do this time of year. It's probably 10 degrees colder than it
Well,
was.
plus the ground is soft.
Oh my
Like, don't get
goodness.
hung up. He said he got hung up at the job he was at before he came to the church. He had to pull himself out. It's zero turn. Got hung up, and he had to get a cable, hook it to his truck, and pull his zero turn out. So,
Yeah, yeah. There's been way too much water to be cutting grass right now.
Oh yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
It's just a
I
soupy
wouldn't do it.
mess. No.
But that's just me. So, man, let's talk a little bit about our series and Sunday and everything went down. Chad, why don't you talk a little bit, because you preached, and so it's kind of your your ideas and your thoughts, and we'll kind of go from there.
So we, it was week 2 of our series, and the sermon title was "He didn't have to do it, but he did," which, Jesus did not have to do it.
I seen that sermon title just so everybody knows kind of how things work. Is when it comes to the sermon info that you guys see on the screens in service, I'm the one that puts those in, and so I get a preview. So when Pastor Chad is speaking, he sends me his stuff, and then I put it in the software
for the
so
slides.
Everybody can see the slides that he's got on there. So I knew. So I went around all weekend with this daggum. Well, he didn't have to do it, but he did. I was just all week singing it because you know what your thing was. You sent me your outline like real early last time. It was earlier than you usually do.
Right. Well, and I didn't have a lot of bullet points because I wanted to read something that I had saved on my phone years ago, and it's basically a very detailed description of Christ's, sacrifice and the beating and the 39 stripes. Because they gave him 39 stripes because 40 was known to kill a man, and they wanted him alive. They wanted to torture him, and the things. I was talking to Pastor Brian. Last week I sent him a picture, and it was an artist rendition of what Christ looked like after he bared the 39 stripes for our healing, and his rib cage was exposed, his internal organs front and back, but his beard was still intact. And the Passion of the Christ, that movie was probably one of the closest you can get to the actual brutality of it, but it still doesn't even scratch the surface of how bad they beat him. And Pastor Brian, if you look at his glorious beard, and he does have a glorious beard, he and our cousin brother Jimmy the Talent, they have glorious beards, and Pastor Brian will tell you when his granddaughters climb his beard, it is very painful. But they grabbed our Savior, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords' beard by the handfuls and ripped it off his face. And if you know how tender your face is, if you've ever had a beard, that ripped the flesh from his face. And they said he was unrecognizable. And I just couldn't. And when they placed that crown of thorns on his head, if you've seen on the History Channel, the recreation of the thorns, the crown of thorns that they placed on Christ's head, those thorns looked to be anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches long.
They say they've proven that those thorns was 3 to 3.5 inches long.
Okay. Yeah, they were massive. And when you put like something a complete crown, a full circle around someone's head, as thin as your scalp is, they scalped him. Because when they forced that down, it ripped his scalp. I can imagine it ripped his scalp from his face. Yes. And just god awful. But those men, they were possessed. The enemy wanted him dead. And I thought the Passion did a great depiction. It showed the Roman soldiers beating him and doing all these cruel things to Jesus in the movie The Passion, and then after it was like a haze of pure anger and rage, just brutally. And then afterwards, it's kind of like they came to for a second, and almost they were shocked themselves at what they had done to him, because our human nature can't fathom that. We're not designed to be cruel like that. We're not designed to hurt people like that. That's demonic. And that's what that was. That was the enemy of this world trying to kill the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. But he proved him wrong by rising on the third day. He sure did. He sits at the right hand of the Father to this day, advocating for us.
Yeah. He we were talking last week about how he didn't really want to go through what he went through. Right. That wasn't his choice of the way to go. I was thinking about that
because the closer it got, the more it had to get intense.
Well, yeah, it's just like anything.
Because he's 100% God, but he's 100% human.
Yeah,
he felt our pain and anguish.
When you know something's going on, when you know something's coming, like it's almost even worse. Well, a good example, man, is like your open heart surgery.
Yeah,
I mean, you relate it to that. If something happens and it's like on the fly, right? You get injured or hurt. You don't really have time.
You have no time to prepare for it.
Right. So, but when you know something's coming, like you did, like you knew that surgery was coming, you have time to let your mind just wander and go and make you fearful and you worry. And we get anxiety and we get depressed because what we know is coming. And Jesus knew it was coming
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
the entire time, his whole life.
He was sent down to
Yes.
be the sacrifice.
Yeah. So think about the amount of
Anxiety.
dread
Yeah.
that he had by the time that it come. It's not surprising that his sweat turned to blood, right? If it's not that, I mean,
that's proven that people can be under such duress and stress that they're
it's a medical thing.
Yeah, it's a medical thing to where your blood vessels and your pores can burst into blood, like you sweat drops of blood.
Yeah.
Like you're under so much anxiety and stress and tension that your sweat, your pores and your skin burst.
It doesn't sound pleasant
it's
at all,
horrible. I can't imagine.
and then not only that, I can say in life, I think one of the things that hurt me the most
Mhm.
is when people that you think got your back turn on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
For me, it's one of the things that drives me like super crazy. That's hard for me to swallow. And so to think that not only, he went there to the garden that night, knowing what he had in front of him. He was already dealing with that. And then also he knew that one of his buddies,
Betraying.
one of his boys were
With a
coming to
kiss.
sell him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the main scripture I used to start my sermon.
Yeah.
He knew what was coming.
He did.
His best, one of his close friends betrayed him with a kiss.
I think it's important for people to understand. And I know I say it a lot from the stage or the pulpit, but the disciples, they weren't just like Jesus's employees. Like that was his posse.
Yeah.
That was his crew. That was his boys. That was his buddies. That was the people he hung out and did life with.
They were like his brother.
Yeah, they absolutely. Well, one of them was his half brother.
Yeah.
But and so he went there knowing that he had a bad thing coming up.
Well, during the Last Supper, he said,
say the least.
"Go do what you must do."
He told him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew that he released them.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
No, that would be so hard.
Ugh.
And like you said,
Well, then after the guy, an evil spirit came on Judas.
yeah,
And then after he realized what he's done, he couldn't live with it.
killed
He
himself.
hung himself.
yeah.
Well, and then Peter denied him 3 times, and God told him. Jesus told him. He said, "You'll deny me 3 times."
Yeah.
And
He said, "No, I won't."
yeah, and all the disciples.
But he feared
backed
for
off
his
from him.
life. Yeah.
Yeah,
they
he
feared for
did.
their lives.
That's one thing that we don't say all the time. Like we're real quick to chuck Peter under the bus and say he denied God, he denied Jesus, and he did. But he didn't deny Jesus because he was too prideful or because he
He's
denied
scared to
Jesus
death.
because he was scared.
He was
Yeah,
scared,
To
yeah.
death.
But he still did it.
He saw what they did to him.
Yeah.
He saw what they did to Jesus. So
Hey, guess
yeah.
what? Peter didn't have to do it,
But he did.
but he did.
He did.
We could just
Sing it.
Yeah, Judas didn't have to do
Let
it,
me hear it.
but he did.
Didn't have to do it,
No.
but he did.
That's man.
That's some old Southern gospel cog.
It is.
That's some of the COG.
That is some old stuff right there.
That's COG right there.
COG still plays all them songs.
Oh, yeah,
I
man.
listen to them if I get it. If I
Oh man,
stumble on
that
'em.
takes us back to our childhood.
yeah,
That's
Who'd
what
you
we
say
were-
plays him?
That's where we were born in the Church of God.
Church of God, COG.
What you raised us in, Father?
Yeah, I don't know.
I still I still crack up because I'll see some people from the old generation, your generation, and they'll be like, we have the loud service, and it's they play contemporary music. We play contemporary music, and we have electric guitars, drums, and we sing. We're singing, but it's nothing crazy, and we have our stage, and I saw one of the Church of God guys go, "Where's this rock concert at?" Knowing it was our church.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, hold on, wait a minute, time out. I recall as a child, you were in a band, and the older generation, Uncle Joe and that generation, they thought that they were too wild and loud.
Yeah.
The gospel sounds, they thought they were too rowdy. And I'm like, dude, you were accused of being too rowdy and too wild and singing and making choo-choo train sounds in your songs. I remember that guy making those loud train sounds.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, he could do it.
I
And
remember that.
I'm like, that's the pot calling the kettle black.
Well, let me tell you what.
It just cracks me up.
That particular group of people.
The gospel
Um,
sounds.
uh,
They were awesome.
Not them.
When
yeah,
we were kids.
Not the God. I'm not
Oh,
talking about
no,
the
no.
gospel sounds. The gospel sounds. That was one of them. That was just one person that said that. I know who it was.
Yeah.
And
And I couldn't believe.
I think
I
it
couldn't
was.
believe you said it.
I think
I'm like,
I think it was an attempt to be funny.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. But it's not the only one. Listen, I'm gonna be honest, man, and I'm not trying to be mean. I love them all, but they've got a little spirit of jealousy going on ever since we've experienced the kind of growth and that kind of stuff. And I hate to see that
And that's a shame.
because we're
but it
family,
does.
we're church people. We're all.
oh, if
Well,
I see him, I
we had
love
one
him, you know,
person.
I mean,
One person seen a member of ours, and they literally said, how many people you got? And I don't know what our member said, but I think they said, we're up to 400, 500, whatever they said at the time, whatever it was. And the person's response was, well, we have 80 people, but they're good people.
Are you serious?
So they literally, oh yeah.
So
You
they
didn't
did-
hear about that?
Comparison
No.
breeds misery.
I
Yes.
didn't hear that either.
Yes. You didn't
That's
hear that?
sad.
You guys, okay, I'm going to tell you what, you both heard it. You both heard this. You both heard this.
I don't remember.
100%.
Maybe I
Both of you
100%
heard
blocked
this.
it out.
No, I wouldn't think so
I
because
don't
there was
remember.
even
I'm drawing a blank.
there was a
Maybe I just thought it was petty and just didn't store it in my
yeah,
memory
maybe.
bank.
I don't know. I know you guys heard it because it was really that was really offensive. That was the most offensive thing. So they literally attacked our people. They said, well, we got 80 or 85, but they're good people.
But one of the things that you and I agreed on when we, started to take over things and change things up a little bit, mix things up, and nothing that Dad ever did was bad. We just were looking to make some changes. We said we're not going to have church police. We're not going to have those holier,
Yeah,
self-righteous,
absolutely not.
holier than thou, better than you,
Yeah.
judging you, people. We don't want that because that causes division. None of us are worthy, and none of us are better than the other person. We're not saved by our works. We're saved by His grace.
Yes.
And these people that think they're going to earn their way into heaven, they're just, I don't know what they're thinking, because you cannot earn your way into heaven. It's His grace. And by serving Him, and it's a surrender. And then that surrender turns into a relationship. It's because we're never going to be perfect enough to earn our way into heaven. It's having that relationship with Jesus Christ.
But even some of the stuff that gets said, and I think this is probably a pretty good thing to talk about because I want our people. Listen, let me get up here nice and close. I want our people. When I say our people, our church family, people who attend here, to not get caught up in that whole church competition thing. It doesn't.
I don't feel like we do.
We
Do
don't.
you?
We don't.
sense that.
But it is something that happens. It is something that other people, I see it be brought to us a lot, probably because we're a pretty quickly growing church, and got a lot of positive things happening, and like you said, comparison
Breeds misery.
Comparison is
tool
the
of the
thief
devil.
of joy, is what
Yeah,
it is.
it's a tool of the
It
devil.
steals joy, and so I think if we allow ourselves to get into doing that and to compare, and this isn't anything. It don't matter if you're talking about your church with your friend's church. It doesn't matter if you're talking about your house with your friend's house, your bank account, your money. Like the worst thing you can do for your own happiness is try to compare yourself to other people.
Yep.
You weren't meant to have Joe's blessings. You weren't meant to have Sheila's blessings. You weren't meant to have someone else's stuff. God's got your life for you. And I know it's easy. And God knew it was easy too. That's why literally one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not covet. In other words, don't look and want what other people got. Be happy with what God gives you. And if you do that, the blessings that God gives you will mean more to you because you appreciate them as gifts from the Father. And you're not constantly saying, God, why did you give it to them? Why did you help them? Why did you bless them?
And
Why did you do
Facebook's
this?
the ultimate tool of breeding misery because people get on there and they can. Why did so and so get to go on an exotic vacation 5 times this year? Why did so and so get another new car? Why did so and so get that big house? Why? And they see it on Facebook and then they get miserable because they don't have it. Not
True.
And some of the things they see isn't always the real picture. You know what I mean? Like the perfect family.
Most people lie on
I
there.
mean,
Yeah. Most people don't lie. Here's what you
They
see.
over exaggerate.
Not even.
A lot of
I
times.
don't even think it's that. Some of that. There's some of that for sure.
Yeah. There's some over.
But I think for the most part, what we see on social media is we see everybody's
good
best.
Yeah, the best.
Everybody's 100% best.
Right.
Their best look, their best car. You don't get pictures of the house when it's dirty.
No.
But let it be clean. You don't get pictures of somebody's car. I love my pretty black truck. I'm not posting pictures of it after it snows, right? And it's all messed up and jacked up. If I'm going to post a picture of that truck, it's when that thing first come out of the wash or it's sitting there and it looks good, right? So you're seeing all you're seeing is your best, and you never get to see the raw part of people's life when they're as far as social media goes. But that's a great thing about Christ is what he did is even out of everybody that you can put on for. Which you can put on for anybody, right? I mean, you can make yourself look like anybody you want to in front of people just by the way that you behave. I mean, we have that power, right? Humans have the power to be chameleons. We can do that. But Jesus sees he sees all the good, all the bad, and you can't hide it and you can't mask it. And you can't do anything.
And he's the only one whose opinion matters.
He is.
At the end of the day.
He is.
Yeah. He's the
I agree with that.
But so many of us don't live our lives to please him.
He's the only one whose opinion matters when it comes to pleasing somebody. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, we have standards to our spouse,
right, and to our kids,
and to our children,
and to our friends.
And as pastors, the three of us are pastors.
Yeah,
we have a certain standard we have to uphold.
That's why I kind of hesitated. I know what you mean,
right?
Like when it comes to our eternity and like our soul, then yes, his opinion's the only one that matters. When it comes to what we're doing, is it right and wrong? Yes, his opinion is the only one that matters.
Right.
But yet,
we have to.
I want my wife to have a good opinion of me.
Right, yeah.
I want my friends to have a good opinion.
That's like I pray every day, Lord, make me the husband my wife deserves, needs, and desires, and make me the father my children deserves, needs, and desires. And then I end it with, Father, make me the man you created me to be.
You should pray at some point in your life to be the brother that you should have been.
I pray for you every day. I pray for my brother every day. I say, God, make us the men you called us to be, to lead this church and to your people.
That was a cheap shot. I was just playing with you.
But
You're
I'm being
a pretty
honest.
good brother.
But I'm being honest. I mean, I do. I pray that prayer because God called us to a mission, and I don't want to let him down. I want you and I to be the best we can be for him, for his people.
For sure. I want to be
I always pray every day, Lord, let people see Jesus in me.
Yeah. To be the reflection.
Yeah.
I say, God, let your light shine so bright in my life that it blinds the enemy.
Yeah.
They should see him. If we're following his footsteps, they should see him before they ever see us.
His love.
And they don't want no part of him.
His love for us should show to others. Yes. We should show his love.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? That's good. How do I mean, what,
Just
every day surrendering.
What is it? What's it look like to show love to each other? What's it mean?
Be kind. Be genuine.
Courteous.
You can spot a phony.
Yeah.
Somebody that thinks they're somebody and they're not. You can type that. But if you're truly allowing the Spirit of God to use you, nothing but God's going to come out of you.
Just a simple smile goes a long way.
A smile goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. It's good stuff.
Yesterday, I went someplace, and this woman had I think she had two children. She had carrying one on her hip and leading one by his hand, and she was going into the Walmart store. So, I gave her the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people just bulldoze you out of the way.
Sure.
So it was just a small act of kindness, and she said, "Thank you very much." And this is showing kindness and love. That's what Jesus did.
Right.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. That's why I asked the question: is how do we do that?
Well, I'll give an example. This has been before Haley. So Haley's 15 and a half. So it's been over 16 years ago. We lived in McCutcheonville, right by a McDonald's, and something had happened. I'd gotten, I don't know what happened, but I was in a bad mood and showed myself. I acted up. And I felt bad about how I acted. I can't remember what I did. Something happened, but I was a jerk about something. Might have been to Karen, my wife. I don't remember. But I remember feeling bad, and God convicted me driving to go get food from McDonald's. And I remember pulling in the parking lot, and a lady pulled out in front of me. And I smiled at her and gave her the right of way. I said, go in front of me, at the drive-through. And so I got behind her. She was in front of me, and I gave her a big smile and gave her the wave. So anyways, I'm feeling bad, beating myself up about how I acted and whatever the situation was, saying, God, forgive me. I feel like I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying not to have a short temper. And I go to pay for my food. I did my order and went to pay for my food. And the little girl at the window said, the lady in front of you paid for yours. She said, you look like a kind person. And I was like, I needed that. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
She said,
you played it forward.
Yeah. She said you had a kind face and you smiled, you let her, that whole drive to McDonald's, I was beating myself up, mad at myself for how I acted about a situation. Yeah. And I'm like, God, forgive me. I'm so sorry. And I felt like I let God down, and whether it was Karen or whoever I was arguing with, whatever happened, I was beating myself up. And then here someone buys my meal at the drive-thru because I showed kindness, just by letting them cut in front of me and not getting mad that they kind of cut me off. I didn't get mad. I didn't react. I just, go ahead, and, but that I actually kind of choked up on it after I drove off and just said, thank you, Jesus. I needed that, that act of kindness. And, I tell you, acts of kindness go such a long way.
Yeah, it goes such a long way. Sure.
Yeah.
Does.
Well, kindness is that's really what love is. That's, like I said, that's kind of why I wanted to ask the question that way is what does that look like? Because we talk about it all the time. We're just out loving on people. Well, what's, that's more than just saying I love you. Mm-hmm. And we talk, that's one of the things that we talk about. I think we even talked about it last week is the whole love has legs thing. And that's, I think it's one of the most important things that a Christian needs to remember, because love will quickly become lip service.
Yep. Yes.
Love will quickly become, I can't tell you how many people, Christians, friends, mm-hmm. me, myself, us, everybody, we'll talk about how we love people and then do something that doesn't.
Love has legs.
Doesn't prove that, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about somebody about something, we may see something that we don't like. And so what do? We don't, what love would do is bite your tongue and take care of you. Your mind your business. Pray for them if you know something's wrong.
Right.
But how many times or do we even actually do that? How many times do we say we love people, but yet we're murdering them with our tongues, with our mouths? I talk to people. I think everybody needs to understand that the Bible was real clear when it said that the power of life and death is in the tongue. Mm-hmm. Like you have the ability. That doesn't mean, okay, you're not going to go up someone and kill them, with your tongue physically. But what it does mean is that your tongue has the ability to assassinate someone's character. Your tongue has the strength and the ability to assassinate somebody's hope, somebody's joy, somebody's self-confidence. And you may think that it's not a big deal. And you may think that you're justified because you're somebody and you don't have the same problems that they have. But I'll be honest, and I don't hold back, and I won't even change my terminology. Like the next time you're going to talk about somebody, like the very next time that you decide I'm going to talk about somebody to someone else, mm-hmm. remember my words, shut your mouth, right? Yeah. Shut up. Yeah. Just shut up. Yeah. You don't need to talk about other people. They're none of your business.
And if somebody comes to you with a problem, you don't need to share it with other people.
Absolutely not.
I mean, when someone's confiding in you, and especially in church and leadership roles and stuff, if someone looks at you as a leader in a church, and they're telling you their problems because they feel they can trust you because you're a representative of a church representing Christ, and then you talk about that person's problems to other people, you're going to have some answering to do.
That's what okay. So literally, that's what I'm talking about. You don't even realize it, but somebody may drive you crazy.
Right.
And they may do something that drives you crazy. And then you go in your frustration and your anger and you go tell somebody else about it. You're not telling them the truth. You're telling them your perspective.
Right.
You're not telling them.
Well, you're not in their shoes.
All you see is your view of it. Right. And then at that point, depending on who you're talking to, what the situation is, you've shot that person's reputation to that other person. Mm-hmm. You've said something that's not true. Whatever the case is. Here's the thing. Here's where I'm going to get them. Here's where you go. Here you go, church family. Here's where you like me. Here's why you like me. I'm going to tell you what you're doing. Just real simple way when you're doing that. you are sinning. That is willful sin.
Yeah.
You are, if you do that, here's what I honestly believe in my heart. You have to repent of it.
Well, of course. What's the Bible say about those that sow discord? What's it tell us to do?
It says to mark them on the forehead and not to have anything else to do with them, to set them aside, to say, you know what? If you're going to cause trouble within the group, if you're going to cause trouble within the family, then you can't be in the family.
Yeah.
That's what it says, literally.
Could you imagine if you and I showed up at church with a stamp
I'll do that.
and stamp people on the forehead?
I'll do it.
No,
I'll just wear a ring.
That's a joke, guys.
Can I just wear a ring?
That's a joke.
And with a horseshoe
That's
on
a
it?
joke. That's
And
a
be like,
joke.
hey, look, if someone's got a horseshoe print in their head, no, I'm just
We're
playing.
totally joking.
But you know, the Bible speaks about gossip,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and gossip is exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
And how many people's lives?
Talking other people's business.
Yes.
And
And
I
how
feel
many
some-
people is out of church today for that very reason?
I've noticed with some people that do that, there's people that come to my mind and they'll start talking about other people's business, and it might not even be bad. You know what I mean? They don't think they're saying anything bad, but they don't know. They're so socially awkward. They don't know what else to talk about.
It doesn't
So-
even dawn on them that they're doing it.
Yeah, and they start talking about like someone's finances or how someone's paying their bills or how someone's buying something, or because they know they got the in, right? Or how someone's running their business, or and they got the in on that, and they have nothing else to talk about, or they don't know, so they talk about what they know or what was recently exposed to them,
Yeah.
and they're like, that's not a new topic. I can talk about that, but
And-
it's somebody else's business.
Yeah,
And
it shouldn't be.
And they-
it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And they come up to you and they say, "Hey, I've got something I want to tell you, but you can't tell nobody else because
Yeah.
this person told me not to say nothing,
The
and they've already told 7 people."
if
Hey,
a-
let me tell you one of the things that I always respected about you, Dad, because I seen you do it several times. I seen that if people would say that to you, you would tell them, or at least you did on sometimes. You would say, "Well, then don't tell me."
yeah.
You would say,
Yeah.
if they can't know, if it's back office or if it's backwoods conversation or whatever it is, you would say, "I don't want to know. If I can't, don't come to me with something you're coming to me and telling me something about someone else that you got a problem with. So the only reason you should be coming to me for that is because you've already went to them, like the Bible said, and it didn't fix it. So now you're coming to me, and I'm going to go with you to fix
As
it.
an advocate,
Don't
someone
come
to help.
don't come at me just telling me, bad mouthing them, and expect me just to be quiet.
And-
Matter
and
of fact,
we got to pray about it.
yeah. And I'm going to tell you, like now, I'm thankful for that, because now what I will do, and everybody knows it, I will say no, stop, and I will take them by their hand, and we will walk over to whoever they're talking about,
That's
and
right.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it's really bad, and if they say, hey, don't tell them I told you, or they're doing the same thing to you, like anything they know
That's
about
right.
you,
Yeah.
they're telling the other.
That's right.
They're if they're talking about someone, the person that says, don't tell so and so I told you this, well, they're doing it to you too.
Let me
Uh,
tell
if
you,
they have anything to say about you.
Your own mother has asked me before. She said, "Well, what was that all about?" I said, "I can't tell you."
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's being a pastor, we counsel.
yeah,
people.
you're in confidence. I have
And-
some. Yeah.
And I tell people, I said, I'll tell people, hey, this is mine and your. If Karen's, my wife and I do a lot of couples counseling together and stuff, and if I meet with a girl, Karen's with me. I don't,
Yeah.
we don't meet with the opposite sex alone, and so, if I'm meeting with someone and Karen's not in the conversation, if it's like a guy or something, or if it's a couple and I'm talking to a couple by myself and Karen can't happen to be there, then I'm like, look, this is private. The only person I would talk to about this situation to confide in would be my wife, but I won't even do that unless I have your approval. Because if someone comes to me with something, man, that's private. That's between me
private,
and them
yeah.
and God, because they're looking at me as a pastor and they want my godly advice. And before I even speak, I invite God into the conversation. You should pray before you speak
Yes.
when you're representing Christ and the body of Christ.
I'll tell you what else. When you know what my first thought is when someone tells me that I can't tell. My thought is that they've embellished it, or they're flat out lying and they know it, and so they don't want.
I think some
That's
people
good
have it and they just can't hold on to it.
No, I think that there's some of that too.
Yeah.
But
I
if
think
someone
some
comes to
people-
me animately like, you can't tell anybody, I'm like, okay.
yeah.
My immediate first thought is
Something's up.
they've got their spin.
Right. Yeah.
No matter what they tell me, I know they've got their spin on it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep. because there's no reason to
Well,
be
and
like,
you know, and you when they start telling you whatever it is, you pick up on it right away that it's their opinion, and because how they'll start getting worked up about an individual, or you know what I mean. You can tell whether this is a true factful situation, or are you adding your spin on it and amplifying it because you're amped up about it.
you can for sure tell.
Yeah.
There's no question, man. And it's just so bad to get in the habit of doing, because it's just like any other thing. When we talk about addiction, everybody immediately lumps addiction into a couple of things like alcohol or drugs or and nowadays one of the biggest things people get addicted to is like porn.
Yeah.
But the more I grow up, and I'm still growing up at 50, I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in August. And I feel like I'm still growing up and learning. And one of the things I've learned in life is like you can be addicted to almost anything.
Oh yeah.
And I
obsessive compulsive behavior.
I think I honestly know people that I think are addicted to gossiping.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a fact.
They don't know how
not to. Yeah.
No matter how. And I don't even think they're
not consciously aware of it.
Yeah, I think they're consciously aware that they're blabbers. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're aware that they're harmful.
There you go.
You
nailed it.
They think it's a victimless thing, and it's not.
Well, and if they're telling someone, also, if they're telling someone they trust not to say anything, they think they're safe. Like, perfect example, let's say someone in the church, someone on your leadership team, or the leadership team will come to you with something. Well, don't tell so-and-so. They know you're not going to, because you can be trusted, right? So they think it's safe. Yep. And if they're telling someone that's safe, that's not going to go and spread that gossip, but not realizing, hey, you're gossiping. You know what I mean? You're gossiping. You're telling us, and no, we're not going to tell anybody, but hey, you're gossiping.
Yeah. And how many other people have they told before they told you?
Oh, usually several.
Yeah.
Yeah, no telling. Well, usually you're not the first, for sure.
I've had people come to me with certain things, and I'll instantly pick up on it, and I'll cut it off.
Hey, let me tell you, I've done this before, and here's the
I'll
thing.
tell them you're wrong.
You never know when I'm going to do it, because I might do it again. I will pick out questionable people, and I will tell them something.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and I'll wait
and see. Yeah.
And I'll wait to see how much the story has changed.
I've done little tidbits to see
if
it gets back or if it gets exaggerated, just to see.
I do it because I want to know what people's character are. I want to know what I want to know, like, who are the people that I can. If I go tell somebody something and I tell them, hey, I need you to keep this in confidence, I want to know if it's going to get out.
Yeah.
You ever done that, Dad?
Yeah. I'm a matter of fact, I've done this one person that way, and I said, no, it's just between you and me. They said, okay. So I watched them. And they told this person come back to me.
Yeah.
So I went back to that person. I said, this person, I didn't just say the name. I said, there's a person come to me and told me the exact thing I told you. Did you tell them? Oh, no, I didn't tell them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's when you got to call them out.
You got to call them out.
I'd have been like, look, homie, I didn't tell nobody. I would be honest. I'd be like, I ran a test on you, and you are a complete failure. I would say you failed it.
I didn't tell him I run a test on him, but I told him, I said, you was the only one I told.
Yeah, I mean, and then for people to just flat out, oh man, don't look at me and just lie on purpose.
Yeah,
that's so annoying.
It's bad.
But there again, talking about that, some people lie, don't even know they're lying.
No.
Some people believe
their lies,
their own lies, because they get, again, I just said that people can be addicted to anything. I think there are people who are addicted to lying.
Oh, yes.
There's some.
They believe their own lies.
Yeah.
Well, they actually think they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Well,
they're so accustomed to lying that everything they say,
they've lied themselves into believing their own
lies
thing, right?
Right.
So it's
I know people that they're good people, and they don't mean to. They just do. They over-exaggerate. We'll call it over-exaggerating,
Yeah, for sure. Guys, can you believe it's already been an hour?
You don't seem like it.
It doesn't, does it? It goes so quick. I want to do something real quick.
Is it over?
Well, it's not over yet. We can go as long as we want, but it's
Oh.
but we have been in an hour. I mean, we've been talking for an hour.
Yeah, it goes quick.
Let's see here. I don't know. You guys talk for a minute while I try to figure something out.
Are you making supper tonight?
No, Mom's supposed to buy me something to eat.
Mom's supposed to buy me something to eat. Travis wanted to go to so Travis come home last night and he's like, look, yo, Mom, Dad, he loves, my boys love like exotic stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And this isn't exotic, but anyway, he wanted crawfish. So Pier 17 has crawfish. And so Travis was like, hey, look, I want this so bad. Like, he was like, I'll buy, you fly. Like, you guys go with me and I'll buy. So we went to Pier 17 and I was telling Dad, man, their fried cod, like all of their food's good, but their fried cod is some of the best.
I've not had their fried. I usually get like a half pound of shrimp and crab legs.
That's what Laura got. And then Travis got the crawfish. And I got the gumbo, which I still think you got gumbo on a bad day because it was delicious again.
See, I went one time. It didn't have hardly any meat in it. Nothing. It was so bad.
Now it's just chicken and sausage gumbo.
Oh, mine didn't hardly. It was more of the gravy.
There was a lot of gravy. Now mine had a lot of sausage in it, and it had.
Yeah,
but we were questioning the chicken. It was good, but it almost seemed like it was tofu. It almost seemed like it wasn't. It almost seemed like it was tofu, but it was still killer. It was really good, man.
Oh, we went to Osaka yesterday. And got
did
the
you?
sushi boat.
You know what? Listen, Newburgh people, since we're all Newburgh folks, $9.99 for hibachi chicken Tuesday through Friday, right?
Yeah.
It's so good. Me and you've been twice so far?
Oh yeah. Well, I've been more than that, man.
Well, I know together though.
But together we got, because it includes your drink.
Yeah.
$9.99 at Osaka in Newburgh. It is phenomenal. I think they do a lot of takeout. And then we got the sushi boat. They have a sushi boat for $35. You get two of their premium rolls, and I got the Hellfire roll and the Snow Angel roll, and then two California rolls with Masago or whatever, the little fish eggs. Anyways, $35 for 4 rolls. Yeah, and it's good food, man.
And listen, $35 today
for very affordable for today's market.
Yeah, $35 for that wasn't bad because you had 4 of you?
Well,
no, that was just for Karen and I. We shared a sushi boat. Then the girls got their meals.
Where at Osaka?
Osaka.
That's not bad.
No,
so we've been eating at this place in Evansville now called Journey's Fish and Chicken.
Is that good?
It's killer. Just don't go in.
That's there on South Green River Road, right?
Yeah, and it looks,
across from Washington Square
when
Mall.
you go in there,
I've seen it.
You won't.
There's a Mexican joint right next to it, right?
Yeah. But you're not going to get a lot of confidence when you go in there. You're going to be like, I don't know if I want to eat from here.
That's probably the best. Those are usually the best.
But
food.
yeah. So, dude, for $15 or something close to that, you can get 2 pieces of cod, which is really good fried cod, and 3 chicken wings. But really, it's 6 chicken wings because it's the drum and the flat.
Okay.
And it's just
they're connected.
They're not like hot wings. They're just fried chicken wings. And so you pretty much get 6 wings, 2 big pieces of cod, and like your choice of whatever fries and coleslaw for $15. And dude, it's so good. Like one night last week,
are we still on?
We didn't have groceries, so we ordered it. Yeah, we're still on. I'm not in it. So anyway, we went like 2 or 3 nights in a row, man.
We love food.
We ended up doing that. Yeah. Hey,
I tell everybody, food's my love language, and I love to eat.
I love food too, man. Like I said,
I heard you and Jimmy in your first podcast. I know the secret menus, and somehow I find myself on the.
Yeah, that's true. You do. The whole burrito thing cracks me up, man. I still can't believe that you got a burrito that's. And what the biggest part about it too is,
I love Maria.
I'm gonna be a hater, man. It's not good. At least the one I had, was awful. It was bad.
When they first started making it for people, Maria told me she was going to put it in the system, and when they had their new menu, it'd be on the new menu. But that took almost a year to get the new menu.
But you were there when I had mine.
Right, but some of the people, like some of the employees, didn't know what it was.
But you guys were all eating it too and loving it. No, I was eating it and it wasn't good.
I don't know. Because there's times I went, like I took a group and all of us, they were wrong. They didn't make it right. But now it's lined out for you in the menu what's in there. And yeah, it's so big though, man. It's hard to eat a whole one. It's massive. It is. I got one last week and only could eat half of it.
Yeah.
And
Here's
when
what I think. I think most of your friends that go eat there with you and they order that would not order that if you weren't with them.
No, I get people send me pictures eating it. Like I get
Oh.
Dennis Patton.
Yeah.
Dennis Patton goes every week to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
He does. He's every week he goes. I got to
Well,
have it at least once a
I
month.
had it once, and I liked it. I didn't think it was all that spicy, but I haven't gotten it since then.
It looks so big.
the one time I had it, but we order Indiana burritos. They're the same size.
No, they've been making this one bigger lately.
Man, they got the same. They only have that one big tortilla. It's
I
got to
don't
be the
know,
same
man.
size.
It looks big.
12
It looks
tortilla.
big. It looks
You say it's
Yeah.
bigger because it's your name. You're like, yeah, that's the biggest, baddest
I think it's the
burrito.
same thing as an Indiana burrito.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. It's an Indiana burrito, but they drown it in whatever kind of sauce he likes. That's what grosses it out. Like when I got mine, like literally, I needed a bath as soon as I took a bite. It was like just sauce, and it's just like unflavored hot sauce. Like it's like they don't like they like hot stuff so much they don't care if it's good. Like they just want it to be hot. There's a difference between hot and good, and just hot because you're an idiot, you know. And that you and Jimmy both fall in that boat. You're both idiot hot eaters, right?
I love spice.
You guys like stuff that's just not enjoyable.
You know, I normally will get traditional wings, and I took Dad on his doctor. We both go on our Henderson doctor appointment together, so we'll always get lunch. I try to schedule it where we can grab lunch, and we went to Mr. B's in Henderson, and man, they've got probably one of the best lunch specials on the planet. $10, you choose two for $10.
Yeah.
So I got a personal pan pizza and five hot wings.
At Mr. B's?
At Mr. B's.
Yeah.
And for $10. And so I always get the traditional, but I wanted to try. I've never had their boneless, and I got it. And I get triple X. I get the hottest they'll
Yeah,
make.
they're good.
And I got triple X. And oh my gosh, they're I never had boneless, and it was such good quality.
Now,
cuts.
I will say this. I was just dogging the hot stuff. When I go there, that's what I get. Triple
You
X
get triple
hot.
X because it's not hot at all.
It's not hot at all. And the boneless,
It's so good.
they are good. They're not as good as traditional wings.
No, I prefer traditional,
just
but
my
I just
opinion.
was feeling like
It's
some
so
boneless.
much more convenient.
yeah, dipping it in the ranch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chicken tender spun up in some
We
hot
need to-
sauce.
we just need to
that's
do
exactly what it is.
look. We need to just do a food podcast, a food session.
yeah,
I think
I
we're
could do
pretty
that
much
for
doing
an
that
hour.
right now.
Yeah, our Jesus Christ conversation, turned into the loaves and the fish real quick, and then the water and the wine.
Oh man. Well, we're over an hour, guys. I want to. Every week we're going to end with a scripture. I just think that's important to do. I want to start with, we're going to do Romans 5:8 today. It says, "But God showed His great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners."
Amen.
Man, just remember that this week. Remember that you didn't have to do anything to earn God's love. You don't have to do anything to this day to earn God's love. It's not your works. We just talked about it. It's by grace. God sent His Son Jesus to die for you. So we're just going to pray real quick, and then we will see you guys on Sunday. Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and just hang out with each other, God, and to hang out with you. Lord, we pray that you would touch each and every watcher. Lord, you see every listener. You know the needs of their heart. You know exactly what they got going on in life. I pray, the Lord, that you will bless them over this Easter season, that you will make huge moves in their family and in their personal lives, God, that they would see more happen than they ever thought possible. God, I pray that you would just do what only you can do. We pray everything in the name of your Son, Jesus, and we all say amen, and amen.
Amen.
Hey,
Amen.
everybody, don't forget, we got 2 more weeks before Easter. Palm Sunday this Sunday, invite them. But Easter Sunday, get them in the door. We're looking forward to being able just to worship and to see new people led to Christ. I know that I love you. I know that Pastor Chad loves you. I know that Pastor
we love
Gordon
you.
loves you. And
We
I know
love
that
you.
we all love each other. So have a great week, everybody. We can't wait
Come see us
to
on Sunday.
see you on Sunday.
Come on, come see us.